Hello, and welcome to my December 18th update episode of the Brain Cancer Podcast. Now, first off, let me say that I am very glad that 2020 is almost to a close. I just had my last appointment of the year, so that was also a very good thing. And I am recording this on Friday night, but it's already at 11:30 at night, so yeah, that's why I'm going to explain why in just a second. So I had to be at the hospital at about 9 o'clock, and that's when I arrived. Yesterday, we had our snowstorm that also hit everywhere else along the East Coast and New England. We got about 13 or 14 inches here. So yesterday I got up and did a bunch of shoveling, which I actually really enjoy. And it didn't stop here until about 1 in the afternoon, so I went out twice. And it was actually really fun because all of the other neighbors were also out doing it, and it became just a socializing event, which I think we all need around this time right now. But in addition to the over 1 foot of snow, it was also pretty cold, which it does get pretty cold up here during the winter time. So when I went to go to the hospital this morning, it was about 20 degrees Fahrenheit, which isn't too bad. But because everything was still not completely cleaned up from the day before and the wind was still blowing, there was still snow all over the roads, and there was still a fair bit on the sidewalks, which was just going to freeze throughout the day. I got there at about 9, checked in, they did my blood work, and they originally had me only getting 1 vial of blood drawn, and it's always 5 or 6, I can't remember exactly. But she said she would check into it, and yeah, I had to get stuck a second time for the rest of the blood work, but that's really fine by me because just getting your blood drawn doesn't really hurt, and as long as you have a good phlebotomist, you probably won't feel it, and as long as you stay relaxed, like I just close my eyes, and you just kind of have to let your arms and everything just relax, because the more you tense up, the more likely it is that it's going to hurt, they're going to miss, and it's just going to be a whole lot worse. Whereas if you just take a few deep breaths, you will get through it. I promise you, it's so much easier that way. And then I saw my doctor as usual. We did our quick visit, and everything was fine. Then I went down to Yawkey 8. They were pretty busy, so I waited for about an hour, but while I was waiting, they were obviously making my drug up in the pharmacy. So after I got seated, it was only about half an hour until my drug was up from the pharmacy, so an hour and a half total, it's not that bad. And it has to run over 1 hour, and then a short observation period of 15 minutes afterwards. But in the most 2020 of all ways to end 2020 for me, I have really good veins in my arms, but it was just one of those days where the first stick for my IV just didn't really work for some reason, and then the second one, it was in, and then it ended up coming back out. So the third time was the charm, and that was in my right arm. So I was stuck a total of 5 times today. It's totally fine because the nurse that I have, she is amazing. She even got me a little thing of chocolates for the holiday season, and I really appreciate things like that. And I take in cards for my doctors and my nurse just as a nice thank you around this time of year, and especially during the year that we've had. It's really, really the least I can do, and I appreciate how much they all do for me. But my infusion went well. I had a nice window seat with a good view of the river and across the river into Cambridge. When it was time to leave, I actually got home pretty quickly. I was able to just get right on the red line, then switch over to the orange line at downtown, and then when I left Forest Hills, The bus that goes right to the end of my street was just getting ready to leave in about a minute. So I didn't even have to walk back up the hill, and I didn't have to walk down the hill this morning because I got that exact same bus. And on mornings like this past morning where there's just snow and ice everywhere, it's nice to just be able to walk 2 minutes to the end of the street and get the bus that goes right to Forest Hills where I can get on the train. So I came home, got a shower, took a nap, my usual. I did sleep a little bit longer, and then I was watching some of the conference championship games for college football because I really like college football. And then I sat down to record this, and it's a little bit after 11:30, so this won't be up tonight, but by the time you hear it, it will probably be the 19th or whenever else it is that you're listening to this. And I will try and get another episode or two up before the new year. In fact, I think one that I will do before the new year is everything that I want to do with the show and with the website into the new year. I want to be recording more often and putting out more stuff for people to listen to, and more stuff on social media and the website for people to read. I had really wanted to be able to put out more this year, but I didn't see how bad this whole pandemic issue would be back in like March and April before it started to like really get bad. And then we went from that into the whole election thing, and it's just been one thing after another, and I'm just glad that this year is almost over. I'm not really one for New Year's resolutions or anything like that, but one thing that I do want to do is get on a more regular recording schedule. It's really the only way that I will get better. And it's something that I really enjoy doing. It really is like a form of therapy for me. And it's so nice when I get messages from people that have actually gotten something from this. And that means more to me than I can ever really explain to you all. As much as I try, it's just, I can't really explain it. But I'm definitely going to put together a roadmap for 2021 and try to make this a much more regular thing that I do. Because back when I started this in late March of 2020 is also ironically when everything really started with the whole pandemic. And I didn't really have much experience like recording audio and then editing it, so I've just been kind of learning everything as I go. Now I have like a template for the basic show, and then I'm able to edit an episode quite a bit faster than I could back in the spring and summer. But I think that's also part of the therapeutic process for me, is just sitting down, putting on a pair of headphones, and just working on this for a couple hours. And if it takes me a couple hours, it takes a couple hours. I really don't mind. Because sometimes I'll sit here talking and make like 50 minutes worth of audio, and I'll try and chop it down into 20 or 25 just to get rid of all of the stuff that I just messed up on or don't like, or even the spots where I just can't really think of anything else to say. But I'm going to be continuing on recording every single time that I have treatments. My next appointments are January 13th, I have an MRI. January 15th, I will be back at the hospital. But you will definitely have some other things to listen to before then. And especially in the new year, I've just been pulled in so many different directions, and this past year has just been stressful for all of us, and it's been hard for me to focus on one thing at a time. But I want to say thank you so much for listening and for supporting me over these past 8 months. And I'm going to try and do something good for whenever the 1-year anniversary is. I'm not sure exactly when it went up, but I will find out. But if I don't speak to you again before Christmas and the holidays, I hope that you have a safe and happy holiday. Thank you all so much for listening and for supporting me. We are going to keep going into 2021, and I have a whole lot more episode ideas. and things to talk about. I'm always trying to find new topics, and I have quite a few that I want to cover. But I think that's going to do it for right now. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at BrainCancerPod. You can like or follow the page on Facebook at facebook.com/BrainCancerPodcast. You can email me at any time at braincancerpodcast@gmail.com. You can always reach out to me. Sometimes it might take me a day or two to actually respond, but I will always get back to you. Be safe, everyone, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.